After Deltarune Chapter 2, we all thought that the next 4 chapters will just be random adventures, with Chapter 7 being the actual important one. And we technically weren't that wrong, but Chapter 4 definitely set a more serious tone than the previous 3 chapters. That's what made me wonder, what other Dark Worlds will we even visit in the future? Are there only 2 left? The Flower King and the Bunker? Well, in this video we'll go through every possible Dark World location and try to figure out if it narratively makes sense for us to visit any more. But before we start, make sure to subscribe. Almost nobody that watches me does that, and it helps me grow this Deltarune channel immensely. Alright, let's begin. Before we start, I would like to explain the tiers. S tiers for locations where it is basically confirmed that there will be a Dark World in them. We can check them off right away. I mean, it's the Flower King and the Shelter. We were trying to get into the Shelter ever since the ending of Chapter 3. We also saw there's the Dark World inside. And Flower King is suggested by Gerson, the Forgotten Man, and also this prophecy. It would also make sense since we want to figure out what was Asgard's terrible past, and there could be a Shelter code in there. Alright, A tiers for locations I think will probably have a Dark World, but I don't know. B tier is like a 50-50. C tier is like there's 2% chance it will happen, and F tier is that there's just no world in which it is the Dark World. We'll go for hometown from top to bottom. Noelle's house. Okay, we're off to a strong start. It would definitely make sense for there to be a Dark World. There's no place more connected with Des, Rudy and Carol than their house. We also didn't get the code from there, so it would make sense for us to return there at some point. Maybe a Dark World will be the reason. Also, it would be cool to continue the weird road there, and yeah, we could definitely use some more information on the Holiday family and Des's disappearance. A tier. Catty's house. Okay, yeah, no. There's just no way that Catty or Catty are important enough for that. I mean, sure, maybe we'll go there in the Light World because of Catty or something. That would be cool, but realistically it just makes no sense for Toby to make us go on a Dark World adventure in Catty's house in chapter 5 or 6. I still hope Catty will have a significant role, but definitely not in that way. F tier. Bratty's house is even more unlikely since Catty at least has some importance. Bratty, however, she's literally just a comic relief character based around her relationship with Catty. So yeah, F tier. METTATON'S house. Alright, hear me out. Nah, it's impossible. But I want to put it higher than Bratty's and Catty's houses since it would be cool to learn more about the mysterious voice behind the door. You know, we never saw METTATON'S ghost form, so it would be cool to see that. And we could go with Tenna on a completely new adventure. That would be cool. So yeah, I'll put it on C. It's not gonna happen, but it would be cool, man. Even if it would be probably very similar to chapter 3. The lake. We know there's a whole side story of the song coming from there. Onion also weirdly disappeared looking for it. I don't know, a water Dark World could be very freaking cool, but I don't know. I don't know if it would be even possible to open one there. Still, I think it would be a good payoff of the whole lake story, since we don't really know what its point is. So I'll low-key put it on B. Icy's Pizza. Look, the Pizza Pan's side story is really cool and stuff, but we're too late into the story for there to be a Dark World in it. It wouldn't push the story forward and would just be a random, meaningless adventure. Unless Toby really wants to lean in on the whole escapism stuff and make it about overeating or something like that. And then I'd opened it as a distraction, but yeah, I still doubt it. C tier. Kiersey's Diner is pretty much the same thing. It's just a location intended for some side stories and funny dialogue. It's weird that there's an egg-related Easter egg in it in chapter 4, but that's about it when it comes to its importance. It's a place that would be cool for a DLC. You know, if Toby went back to Deltarune after chapter 7 to add some non-canon adventures in different locations, that could work, but since that will probably never happen, it goes on C. Since, you know, it's not on Bratty's house level of unimportant. SANS'S shop is also a similar case. Just a place intended for some jokes and character development. It's available to you in chapter 2 just so you can put the egg there. And yeah, the only way I can see it becoming a Dark World is like with Icy's. Toby leans in on escapism, specifically on unhealthy shopping habits. But yeah, I doubt Toby would waste our time on a meaningless adventure with Sans at this point. C tier. Sans's house, however, definitely won't become a Dark World. It's impossible. I doubt we'll ever go inside there in Deltarune, to be honest. Unless Toby hides some weird Gaster Greenster bullshit in there and makes us go check it out. Or Papyrus turns out to actually be the knight. If that doesn't happen, and I frankly doubt it will, then there is no way Toby will create a Dark World in there. F tier. The apartment buildings. I don't know, man, they're completely unimportant. They were specifically made to look totally uninteresting, so I doubt Toby will do anything with them. You know, it's like guessing which rock will get destroyed in an anime. You can tell which one won't. F tier. SUSIE'S room. Okay, that might sound crazy, but I think it would be great and is possible. It would be amazing to have a dark world both at Chris's and Susie's place. Also, people definitely want to know what her house looks like and who are her parents. It could be a great way to further develop Susie's character. But yeah, I admit it isn't necessary. Still, since it was probably shown during Krause's explanation of Dark Worlds, I would assume it will play a role. A tier, I guess. Alright, the festival. I guess a lot of people are speculating that there will be a Dark World at the festival. I however don't really know how this is supposed to work. I guess it won't take place in a closed space, so if Dark World was opened there, wouldn't it just spread to the whole world or something? I don't know, this idea sounds weird to me. The concept of someone being able to just put the whole world in a Dark World sounds kinda insane. Some people might argue that it wouldn't be never-ending, but why would it have a border if there aren't any walls in the way? What would determine where it starts and ends? I don't know, I think it is too complicated, and something like that may only happen during the roaring, but not sooner. But if the festival is going to take place in a closed space, then yeah, it can totally happen and will be great. Especially with how heavily teased this segment is. I'm guessing it will just be an extremely large Light World segment, based on everything we know about it so far. So yeah, I'll put it on B tier, right in the middle, since we don't really know how it will look like. The police station. It could be cool, I guess, but the idea of a police station Dark World is only based around the concept of the shelter code being in there, when Napstablook literally tells us it's not there. Still, I guess it is somewhat possible, definitely more than the restaurants, so I'll put it on B tier. The hospital. That is a really weird location. I mean, there are these weird beats that relate to the weird route. There are two rooms there, one with Burley possibly, and the other with Rudy. Whether you are a Rudy Knight truther or a non-believer, it makes sense for the hospital to be a Dark World. If you are based and believe that Rudy is the Knight, then it makes sense for him to make the last Dark World in a place he spends all his time in. You know, to conserve energy, since he is sick from opening the fountains. He would have to risk being revealed as Knight, but maybe at that point the Delta Warriors would already know who he truly is. But if you're a cringe Rudy Knight denier, then you probably assume that his role is to die. That's pretty tragic. And that Noelle will make a Dark World from despair to revive him. Well, the most logical place for this event would be the hospital, obviously. So yeah, in both scenarios, the hospital Dark World could very well work. A tier for sure. Other classrooms. This broadly refers to other rooms in the school. Since it was such an important place in chapter 1 and onwards, I guess there are some people that argue there will be another Dark World there. I guess it can happen, like it's possible. There's still this door that's never been opened, but to be honest, I don't really know what purpose that would serve. So yeah, since I don't have much to say about this location, I'll just put it on C and move on. Town Hall. Not gonna lie, I would really like if this location was used more. I mean, most people barely even remember how it looks like on the inside. I think there is a chance that it will become a Dark World, especially with how strongly it is connected to Carol. Then again, we know that Carol keeps everything important at home, so we probably wouldn't learn a whole lot. That's why this one is just a 50-50. I can see a Dark World appearing there, but it would also make total sense to me if we just went there in the Light World. You know, during one of the hometown sections. That's why B tier is the right place for it. And the last theory, hometown. I guess there are a lot of people that think hometown as a whole will become a Dark World, and as cool as that idea would be, we already discussed the weird concept of it. Also, if that was the Knight's goal to just consume the world in darkness, why wouldn't they just do that from the start? Why bother with all the different Dark Worlds? It's either impossible or something that is only possible when the roaring happens. So yeah, I think we're gonna see that at the world's edge. You know, I just don't think Rudy will go and stop the street or something. So yeah, B tier is also the best here, I think. We just don't know if it's even possible, but if it is, then it would make sense, sure. Alright, that's our finished tier list. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. Honestly, I am not super convinced any of the locations below S will become a Dark World, but it was a fun video to theorize about that possibility. We'll see what Tricky Tony has up his sleeve. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe for more Deltarune content. I know I promised the night video, but it's taking longer than I anticipated. I just don't want it to be a decrease in quality. Still, it's coming and it's gonna be really cool. So make sure to sub for it and watch it when it drops. Hopefully next week. Alright, until the next one, and...
That's right, I'm the wrong knight. Yeah.